He's the man.
It's awesome, funny, random, doesn't make any sense, but it's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the studios in the wrestling capital of the South, it's another terrific episode of The BENGEBUSTER Show. Please welcome your host, Tony Binge.
All right, everyone, welcome to the BENGEBUSTER Show as we are here one more time this week, preparing, getting ready. We're just a few days away from the stadium tour. And right now, before we get started on our podcast, we're going to take a quick break. And when I come back, I'm going to have my co-host, Chris, with his Plano's Live Music Pulse, all this and much more coming up next on the BENGEBUSTER Show.
Def Leppard, Motley Crue, the Stadium Tour with Poison and Joan Jett of the Blackhearts. Get tickets now at Live Nation.
All right, fans, we are back on the BENGEBUSTER Show. Let's welcome my co-host, cohort, co-conspirator, Chris Rock and Roll Playboy Plano. Chris, what is going on?
Terrific, Tony. I am fired up tonight. Thank you for having me on this week. We are finally here. The stadium tour is just 5 or 6 days away. The concerts are happening a whole lot in the pro wrestling scene, and summer is finally here.
Man, it is here and here with a bang, let me tell you, because, Chris, last week as we had our last show, we talked about, the stadium tour starting. Motley Crue, Poison, Def Leppard, Joan Jett, they brought it to Atlanta last week, and man, what a rocking show that was.
Man, Tony, a week ago, it just seems like it was just yesterday, but boy, they're on their 4th stop already, heading to their 5th stop this weekend, and eventually they're going to be here in Charlotte. But from top to bottom, the bands are all playing the hits, the songs the fans want to hear. They've been dodging rain, some thunderstorms a little bit, and even some good weather too. And boy, you better rest up for this one because it's a 7-hour concert from start to finish, and it might even take some a couple of days to even recover.
Yeah, and even guest appearances by Machine Gun Kelly as Motley Crue sang for the first time their new hit, "The Dirt," and of course everyone knows that Machine Gun Kelly was singing backup on that song, and he surprised the people of Atlanta as he was came out on stage and sang the chorus, and that was great. But incidentally, Chris, I don't know if you caught this, but this week Machine Gun Kelly was at our local amusement park, Carowinds. I saw on social media that he was just walking around like you and me would, having a good time here in Carowinds. And a lot of you listeners that may not be from the Carolinas, Carowinds is kind of like our Disneyland, except a whole lot cheaper. But a lot of roller coasters, and as a matter of fact, I believe Carowinds here, Chris, has like one of the fastest roller coasters in the Southeast. It's called the Fury. So if you fans want to check it out, go on YouTube and pull it up. That thing's intense. I remember when it opened up a few years ago, I took my kids, I took my 2 daughters there, and they rode that thing like 5 times, Chris, and I overheard the person talking that thing, it started raining, and they were still riding it, and the speed on it was getting up to close to 100 miles an hour. That's a damn fast roller coaster.
Man, absolutely. I mean, Carowinds, if you know about great adventure amusement parks and other theme parks across the country or Disney or whatever, that is right on the North-South Carolina border here, just south of Charlotte, about 10, 12 miles. And boy, you want the ride, it is there. They got a great water park, plenty of roller coasters, and, and they even turn it into Scarowinds in October. All the haunted houses you wanted and goblins and everything and scary stuff. And it's really a year-round attraction for the area. it's a great landmark for the Southeast, and we're so great to have it right here in the Charlotte area.
Yeah, I mean, I really love Carowinds. Usually we get season passes and go throughout the summer, but a couple of years ago when COVID hit, we done that, and we actually had season passes. We bought them, and then COVID hit, and then they gave us another year free. COVID was still here, so the third year we still had free season passes. But we never used them, and they expired, and so now we're not doing it. I did take my son there a couple weeks ago. Just he and I went down for a day, and we had a good time. But in the summertime, Chris, it just gets so hot, and then the lines are so long, it's just miserable. So I tend to stay away. Now I know our podcast we talk about wrestling a lot. Here is a Carowinds trivia, Chris. 1986, as you know, the Rock and Roll Express was so over. They had a contest. It was called the Rock and Roll Express Super Summer Sizzler Tour, and they had these two kids that they had a Rock and Roll Express lookalike contest, and these two young boys that were like, I think at the time 10 or 11 years old, they won, and part of their prize was they got to go to Carowinds with Ricky and Robert. Only problem is Rick and Robert was more popular than Carowinds. So when they got there, Robert was telling me a few weeks ago about this. He said that that they got the Carowinds, and word got out Rockland Express was in the park, and they had to shut the park down, get Rockland Express out, and then bring them back at a later date when the park was closed, just so that they could ride the rides without being interrupted by the fans. Now that right there, Chris, is over. I didn't see that happen to Machine Gun Kelly the other day, if you know what I mean.
Right. Oh, man. I mean, rock and roll was just so over. I mean, back in the 80s, at their peak as tag team champions in the NWA. And it was everywhere they went, Tony. It didn't matter if they were in an arena, in a hotel, outside an arena, at Carowinds, at a restaurant. I mean, rock and roll was just over, but I believe the story. But hey, great publicity for Carowinds, even back in that day. But Ricky and Robert, man, they were running from the crowd probably several times just to get a breather from here and there. I'm sure it gets taxing after a while. Yeah, that's for sure. But now getting back to this stadium tour, Chris, the bands Poison, Motley Crue, Def Leppard, they kind of went into their vault a little bit. They played some old classic stuff. But like we talked about last week, Joan Jett and Poison, they get an hour. Motley Crue and Def Leppard get an hour and a half. But you got 7 hours of rock and roll, and man, what better way to spend your summer than at the stadium tour? Man, I'm looking forward to it. Tony, just to have these 4 bands together, it's never going to happen again. For these 4 bands to be together, they're playing the hits. They are going into the vault a little bit. They're changing things up. The set lists have been consistent the first 4 shows. There might be a song, maybe 2 songs ebbed in and out or out of rotation, but they're hearing what everyone wants to play. The thing about this tour, and some people have to be realistic here, no band is getting 2 hours of stage time, 2.5 hours of stage time. So are there going to be some songs left out? Yes. I mean, it's just there's only so much time on the clock to be done by 11 o'clock, 11:15, during whatever curfew is at the specific city. But they're hearing the hits the fans want to hear. And I think that's the good thing. Would I love to see Poison for 20 or 30 minutes more on stage? Absolutely. Would I love to hear Motley Crue for even another 30 minutes? Absolutely. They could squeeze 6, 7 more songs in, but it's the kind of tour where you get a little bit of everything over a 7-hour period.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've noticed, Chris, looking at the set list from each show, each band is changing it up a little bit. It's not the same songs on every town. I know opening night in Atlanta, Motley Crue played "Piece of Your Action," which they haven't played that song since 2013. And then, of course, when they played the following night or a couple nights later in Florida, they took that out of their set list. Same thing with Poison. Poison had a couple songs that they put on, and then they took out. So I like that because you're a lot of people like you and me that go out online and pull these set lists to kind of get an idea what we're going to be hearing. It's getting changed up. So that I think that's kind of cool. Another thing that's cool is the fact that CC DeVille he's killing it right now. And what a great tribute that he's doing on these shows, playing Eddie Van Halen's Eruption. And man, he's rocking that out too, Chris.
Oh, he is. And tribute and to CC. I mean, a great guitarist in his own right with his own solo stuff and vibes as well on stage. But no, paying a tribute to the late Eddie Van Halen and doing it well. And you know what the great thing is, Tony, I think these bands, from all the pictures I've seen and just in general, the first four stops, is that these guys are having fun.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're up there having a good time. I mean, we're not talking about young bucks here. We're talking about upper 50s and in their 60s here having a great time, and they're hot up there. They're sweating and they're doing it for the fans. And, I think that's what really is a special thing about all this, that all four of the bands are having a good time. Yeah.
And Chris, I actually saw a video, today. I was looking at it on YouTube. During Poison's, set, I saw off the side of the stage, Tommy Lee and Vince Neil watching Poison play.
Right.
And vice versa. I saw another video of Bret Michaels out there watching Motley Crue play. So not only is this a stadium tour with four huge rock and roll star bands, but it seems like nobody's got I'm the superstar. No, I'm the superstar. No, I am. They're all on the same page, on the same level, supporting each other, having each other's back. And speaking of that, one of the sad things was we found out opening night in Atlanta that just 14 days prior to this opening night, Tommy Lee fell and broke 4 ribs. And this dude is still out there playing 4 and 5 songs with 4 broken ribs. And I don't know if any of you fans out there listening has ever had a broken rib before. One is painful, but man, this dude's got 4, and he is out there rocking shit, tearing it up, kicking out these drums, and just playing some of Motley Crue's harder, faster songs like Wild Side, Shout the Devil, Live Wire. Live Wire is a double bass. If any people out there are drummers, a lot of that song is played on double bass. And can you imagine trying to play double bass with 4 broken ribs, Chris?
Oh, I mean, I can't even think of playing one song with 4 broken ribs. Never mind playing up to 4 or 5 songs before Tommy does bow out and turns the sticks over to the backup drummer. But give it up to him. Hey, he's out there. He kept it on the DL, what was going on. I'm sure the other members of the band knew what was going on, and people in the inner circle. But hey, he does come back out for Home Sweet Home, plays the piano, ebbs and flows where he can during the set. And I'm sure he's talked to some of the girls a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah.
The stage as well and egging them on.
and one of the other things I saw too, Chris, on Ricky Rocket's Facebook page, he came out and said, listen, all these people are talking junk about Tommy Lee only playing a few songs. The man could sit home for 6 weeks and not even show up, but he's showing up. He's being part of the show. He's playing as much as he can play. And Ricky says, hey, I give all the praise in the world to Tommy, because that's pretty amazing to come out there and still be dedicated enough to come out and play, more than, actually play versus not playing at all. So I think that says a lot for Tommy Lee. but all in all, Chris, I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing so far. And all these people that come online talking junk about Motley Crue and stuff. Listen, one thing you got to understand, like Chris said earlier, these guys are not spring chickens anymore. They're not 20 years old. And you know, you can go out today, Chris, and buy a brand new 2022 Tahoe. That thing's beautiful. It's got all the bells and whistles, and it's great. But in 60 years from now, is that thing even going to be running? And that's one of the things that people need to think about. The problem is we get so many of these what I call keyboard warriors. Mom leaves the computer turned on, and they get on and try to be funny. So, go out there, buy your ticket, enjoy yourself, listen to some great music for the next 7 hours, and forget about all this COVID bull crap and all this other stuff that's going on in the world. And man, just go back and have a good time. That I think that's the main thing about what this stadium tour is about. I know a few years ago when they first announced it, it was really to kind of help, promote and advertise for the movie The Dirt. But Chris, it seems like that with the exception of a few towns, that I know Atlanta was completely sold out, standing room only. So I'm excited to see how Charlotte turns out.
Now, Tony, the Charlotte show was originally supposed to be a Saturday night show, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2020.
Right.
Then it was rescheduled for a Thursday night show in 2021. Now we're moving to a Tuesday night show. A huge difference. I mean, but it is a Tuesday night. It's the summertime. The band's in town. It's their only stop in the Carolinas. It's the last stop really in this area that they've already hit Atlanta and DC, obviously. So if you want to catch them, this is it. It is a Tuesday night. Tickets are still on sale. It's going to be a great night, and the weather's looking great. 5 days out. Let's hope it stays that way. And I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking to rock out. I'm looking to see the energy level of these bands. We know Poison's off the hook. We've heard positive reviews. Motley's doing their thing. Def Leppard is bringing out a new album on this tour, which has caught a few people off guard a little bit, but they're doing their thing. And then Joan Jett obviously opening the show up with her hits and her catalog. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to just bask and take it all in. And you and I will definitely have a post-show review of this, maybe even a review that night or the next day. And looking forward to this both online and on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. I can't wait. And Chris, it seems like this summer is the summer for concerts. Everybody is done with COVID. They're out and going. Incidentally, we're recording this podcast Thursday night, but Friday night, tomorrow night, I am going back to home of Starcade, and I'm going to go and hang out with Mr. Bo Cephas, Thunderhead Hawkins himself, Hank Williams Jr. I've got floor seats for that show, Chris. And so anybody that follows me on Facebook and follows the Binge Buster Show on Facebook, I will definitely be uploading a few live videos from the show tomorrow night. So I'm excited about that. Chris, it's like concert after concert after concert, and my whole calendar for the next few days is booked up. I've got the podcast tonight, Thursday night. Friday night, I got Hank Williams Jr. in Charlotte. Saturday, I'm doing a benefit wrestling event. It's called Sober Slam, and Chris, you've came to this show before. It's not a show that we sell tickets for. It's a show that kids that are battling addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, they get a break. They get to come out and they get to watch some of the best wrestlers in the Carolinas get out there and duke it out. And it's a great night of action and a great night just in general of being able to perform for these kids that have really put everything into becoming sober, staying sober. It's Sober Slam, and it's put on by one of my good friends, Court Montgomery. So I'm excited. I'll be doing that Saturday night. Get a little break Sunday with the family. Another break on Monday, and then Tuesday, Chris, you and I are going to be rocking and rolling here at the Panther Stadium in the Queen City of Charlotte. Man, I cannot wait.
Man, I mean, Tony, it just doesn't end the concerts. I mean, I'm excited for you to tomorrow night. Hank Williams Jr. in town, Greensboro Coliseum, so historic, so much history there between wrestling and concerts and every events that have come through that building over the decades. And obviously we got the big show here on Tuesday night, and gosh, even down the road, Jason Bonham with the Led Zeppelin Experience is here on next Wednesday night. And then Chicago's coming to town to PNC as well the following Friday, a 4th of July weekend. And everything's rolling. Outdoor concerts, small indoor concerts. It's just wide open right now, whether you're looking local, national, regional. You don't have to look very far to find a gig playing in your town.
No, not at all. And I can't. I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait. Tomorrow night, Hank Williams Jr. Greensboro. Tuesday night, Charlotte, Motley Crue, Poison, Def Leppard, and Joan Jett. It's going to be on. Now, I hope I haven't kayfabed all your segment. But right now, fans, we are going to turn the microphone over to Chris Plano, as this is Plano's live music pulse right here on the Binge Buster Show.
Boy, Tony, that's right. You're catching me a little bit ahead of time here with the Plano's live music pulse coming out tomorrow. But you're going to get a preview tonight. Great concerts coming to town here in Charlotte. Hey, tomorrow night, Friday, Tony, James Taylor's in town at the Spectrum Center and his all-star band, JT back in town, Carolina on my mind. It'll be packed at the Spectrum Center. Then shows are all weekend. Backstreet Boys are at PNC Music Pavilion on this Friday night as well, and a plethora of local bands Friday into Saturday. Also, Air Supply. Tony, you remember them? They're in town this Saturday night up at Kannapolis Village Park, a free show. Air Supply, in-town legends in the rock and roll industry, and then a lot of acoustic music on Sunday. But, Tony, my eyes are to next Tuesday night. The stadium tour is coming to Bank of America Stadium. 4:30 start. Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, Joan Jett, and the Blackhearts, and classic act. I cannot wait. And then full shows right into the 4th of July weekend. Charlotte is on fire when it comes to the national rock scene, and it's only going to get better as the summer goes on. But, Tony, I'm fired up for Tuesday night, and I know you are as well. I'm not going to be able to sleep a wink between now and then.
Oh no, I'm definitely not. And I'm so happy to add this new segment to the podcast. I know each week you spend a lot of time going through and finding all these great music events all over the Charlotte metro area. And I know a lot of our listeners are probably not from Charlotte, but at least if you are in town and you want to catch a live show, go follow Chris on his Facebook page or just listen to the podcast each week, because Chris will let you know where to go and where to see these bands at. And Chris, I see a lot of times these bands actually give you a shout out for actually taking the time and doing this and letting everybody know where the bands are and where the parties are. But this Tuesday night, the party's going to be live and in color in Charlotte, North Carolina, the home of the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and the former home. I think now he lives in Tampa. But for 20-some years, Charlotte was Ric Flair's town, and even now to this day, when I hear the word Charlotte, the first thing that comes to my mind is Nature Boy Ric Flair. And right now, let's get to that, Chris. Ric Flair's final match was announced a few weeks ago. Said it was going to be held at the Nashville Fairgrounds. They have sold so many tickets, so many people wanting to get in the door. The event has now been moved to the Nashville Municipal Auditorium. And tomorrow, Friday, go to RicFlairsLastMatch.com, and more tickets are going to be offered. Chris, if it wasn't for all these concerts, man, and vacations, I would be buying one of those tickets and going to see the Nate do his thing. And of course, I know a lot of people have been messaging me saying, Tony, who is Flair wrestling? I know you know. I do know, but I gotta keep giving out those hints. But before I get to those hints, today Ric Flair held a press conference, Chris, and they announced that here's something else, Chris. Not only is Ric Flair having his last match, not only is Ric Flair coming out wearing that Great American Bash 1986 remake robe, but Chris, I heard tonight that they are going to auction off that robe. So some lucky fan is going to get to be there, see Ric Flair wear that robe out, and then take that robe home. Can you imagine what that robe is going to be worth, Chris?
Somebody better have a roll of cash in their pocket or some deep credit cards, one of the two, Tony.
Take out a second mortgage on their home.
Something like that. But listen, the Nature Boy is going to walk the aisle at the end of July here in Nashville. You're right. They moved it from the fairgrounds, which I've done a little research. They said the fairgrounds holds about 5,000 people, and now they're moving it to the auditorium, which holds about 9,000 people. Yep. And they're confident that the other 4,000 some odd tickets are going to get scooped up in some way, shape, or form. Pretty confident they probably will be. Whether this was in the game plan or not, I'm not sure. This was maybe a litmus test to see. Coincidentally, the WWE is in town that weekend with SummerSlam as well, the night before. But things are swirling. This thing is in motion. We're coming into July next week, and this match is going to be here before you know it.
Oh, yeah. And, Chris, I'm telling you, not only that, but how amazing is it that they have sold so many tickets on this for this show, and they've sold tickets, and they haven't even announced any matches yet. So that right there says a lot.
It's people are going, yes, whatever the other matches are, and those folks are going to sit through those matches. Whether whoever is in that ring should be honored to even be on the card. They'll forever say they were on Ric Flair's Last Match show in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yep.
With that said, everyone's there to see the main event on some level, whether it's you're there because you want to be there, it's there because you just want to see him walk the aisle, woo, or do the strut in the ring, or whatever he's going to do. Whatever your level of what you want to see, you're going to see it. Keeping things in context, we're not going to see no Ric Flair 60-minute match here either. But you have to keep things in perspective. And I think to just be a part of it, that's why they're there, and to pay homage. Now I even heard Kid Rock's going to be there now.
Yeah,
as a well.
A lot of stars. I mean, not just wrestlers, but musicians, other sports stars. I mean, this thing's going to be huge. I even heard rumor that if you go and see the roast of Ric Flair, there might even be one of Ric Flair's ex-wives there for the roast. So, I mean, I'm telling you, Chris, they're all coming out for this. I will tell you a few names that I've heard that is going to be there. Mick Foley is going to be there. Lex Luger, the Four Horsemen. Of course, you can't have Flair's Last Match without the Horsemen being there. Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Barry Windham, Lex Luger, Ric Flair. They all going to be there. FTR is going to be there. Many more. So that's going to be great. Now, 2 matches have already been announced. They were announced today over the Ric Flair press conference. Impact World Champion Josh Alexander will defend his title against Jacob Fatu And then also the Motor City Machine Guns will be taking on the Wolves. So 2 matches there already been revealed. And it's going to be great. The cool thing, like I said earlier, that Flair's robe, his final robe that he's wearing out that night, will be auctioned off. Not even auctioned off. They're actually going to be selling tickets. So whoever draws that winning ticket, man, is going to win that robe. And of course, if it was me and I win that robe tomorrow, it's going to be on eBay for $100,000. I'm going to make. I'm just saying. But here's the really cool thing. This right here is something very, very amazing. July 31st will officially be Ric Flair Day there in Nashville. So the deputy mayor, Brenda Haywood, announced that today, that July 31st will be Ric Flair Day in Nashville. And on top of that, they are going to be raffling off, like I said earlier, raffling off the robe. And all the proceeds of that robe is going to be donated to the First Step Foundation in honor of Ric Flair's son, Reed. I mean, I know Flair is very emotional about that, but what a great thing that they're doing with this robe, and taking all this money and donating it to the First Step Foundation. As we know, Chris, a lot of people battle addiction. As I talked about earlier for the show I'm going to be on, the Sober Slam, so many people battle addiction. So I think this is a great way of adding to the foundation. And I know that robe is going to bring a tremendous amount of money.
Oh my God. It's going to be off the hook. I mean, no matter what Flair wears to the ring, it's going to be off the hook. And, yes, going to a great cause, and they're doing everything right. And we're going to hear more celebrity announcements over the next several weeks as well. They're going to come out of the woodwork. It's going to be a great time, whether you're there live, if you're watching it streaming on pay-per-view or across other, social platforms. It's going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity. But hey, Tony, if I'm Ricky and Robert Gibson across the ring, and I know the Horsemen are in the building.
Oh, Ricky Roberts going to be there.
I think I'd have a couple eyes in the back of my head, because I don't know if I might trust Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard. God knows who else was a Horseman that might be in the building at one point, because they could be in a tight situation.
Yeah, it definitely so. And man, I'm telling you, I'm pumped up about this too, Chris. I'm telling you, there's so many places I want to be at the same time I can't be. But man, what a great summer this is going to be. You talk about Super Summer Sizzler Tour, that's definitely happened in 2022. That's for sure.
This is Ric Flair's final match. This is his Great American Bash.
Oh yeah,
on July 31st. This is him,
without a doubt. No doubt in my mind, man. This is definitely it. And what an exciting time.
Absolutely.
Now moving on, Chris. We have two more things I want to get in on this show. Number one, just a couple of days ago was the anniversary of, talk about Motley Crue being on tour, the anniversary of Theater of Pain. It was released on June 21st, 1985. The album was recorded from January to May 1985 and then released in June. It was recorded at Pasha Music House in Cherokee Record Plant, West Hollywood, California. I've been by that place a couple of times on my trips out to California. West Hollywood is like the hipster place there in Hollywood, if you've ever been out there. A lot of cool shops, and of course West Hollywood is just not very far from Beverly Hills. Theater of Pain, however, was that album that Motley Crue recorded like during the dark time of their life. Vince had just been involved in that vehicular manslaughter, and Nicky was getting pretty deep into his drug addiction. The band was crazy. It was a trying time for them, but they released this album. Only had 2 really good hits off of it. They hit the radio. Brownsville Station's cover of Smoking in the Boys' Room. And then, of course, Motley Crue's power ballad, Home Sweet Home, which now they play every show. And, Chris, when I went to the final show in L.A., that was the last song they played. And I thought at that time, man, that would be the last song I ever hear Motley Crue play live. But I cannot wait next Tuesday night, man. It's like a dream come true. Getting to see the Crew one more time, so I'm excited about that. But Chris, talking about Theater of Pain, what was like? I know everybody loves Home Sweet Home, but like, what is a cut off that album that you really enjoy?
I mean, Tony, yeah, we talked about Home Sweet Home. That is the ballad for Motley Crue. It'll always be on their set list. And Smoking in the Boys' Room, that's every middle high school boy's dream, in school. But hey, this was a 10-song album back in the day, but there's a couple that pop out. City Boy Blues, Louder Than Hell, are just a couple that pop out to me. What about, hey man, who can't raise your hands to rock? I mean, come on now. I mean,
right.
If you can't get into that song, man, you're not going to get into any song. So there are some songs that, they'll never take off this album and probably play in concert. But, there were some, this is part of the vault that we talked about that makes up any band. And I think this is one of those albums for Motley Crue outside of the 2 hits that are on it. They've got some stuff in the vault.
Yeah, they got some stuff in the vault, and they're pulling it out. And, I'll tell you, off that album, my favorite song, besides the 2 radio hits, Home Sweet Home and Smoking in the Boys' Room, is Louder Than Hell. And I remember, Chris, when I went to go see Motley Crue's Red, White, and Crew tour, they played that song, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never heard this song live. So this is pretty cool. That was great to hear that. And I'm hoping that, they pull that out here in Charlotte. Great album. I think on that album cover was probably one of Motley Crue's most iconic album cover, their album mascot, as Tommy calls it, with the laughter and the sad theater masks. Cool album cover. Of course, I think during this time they were starting to dab into a little different sound. And of course, the following year, or a couple years later, when they released Girls, 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 they stripped it down and got back to the basics and put out a few more hits. But Theater of Pain was definitely a great album. But now, Chris, tomorrow marks the anniversary of maybe their not so popular album, but
that's right.
But Generation Swine, the 7th album by Motley Crue, was released June 24th, 1997, and that album marked the return of Vince Neil. As we all know, Vince left the band in 91, 92, and was replaced by John Corabi. Album sales plummeted for Motley Crue. Album sales wasn't that great for Vince Neil's solo album, but they get back together. This album was released June 24th, 1997. It was recorded for a while, between 95 and 97, so a couple of years. They were putting this album together, and it was recorded in several places. Can-Am Recorders in Tarzana, Music Grinder Studios and Conway Studios in Hollywood, the Enterprise in Burbank, the Chop Shop and Butt Cheese in West Studio, Hollywood, Los Angeles. So several places that they were recording this album, but they finally put it out. It came out, and Chris, one of the coolest songs on there was the remix of Shout the Devil, and Motley Crue announced that Vince was back in the band, and when they appeared on the the award show and they came out and played that song, everybody was losing their mind. I know I was, and I was like, oh my gosh, Motley Crue is back. And but Generation Swine, a lot of people didn't like this album, Chris, but I kind of enjoyed it. It has some pretty good songs on there.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was an album. I love the cover of the album.
Oh yeah,
as well. But hey, Glitter was their. You know, we talked about Home Sweet Home being a ballad. You know, I like the Glitter song. I've seen Motley play it live in concert as well in years past. And but yeah, there were some songs on there that, you know, again, that they would probably never play. You know, but they have a vault here, and obviously Shout at the Devil, the '97 version. And Tony, you might need to rattle my brain a little bit. Was the tour off of this album not one of their longest tours, or was it just kind of all over the board at this point?
Yeah,
with them a little bit.
Yeah, and actually during this tour was kind of when internet was starting to come out, Chris. And Nikki and Tommy were really involved in online stuff. And they were like actually telling the fans, bring your cameras to the show, record us, take pictures, do it all. And Chris, this was actually the tour where Nikki and Tommy got into a little trouble in Greensboro with the security guard. It was during this Generation Swine tour where Nikki was accused of inciting a riot there in the Greensboro Coliseum, provoking the fans to beat up a security guard who was actually beating up a fan. And of course, Nikki and Tommy supposedly spit on him and poured beer on the guy. But they finished the concert, went home. A couple of years later, Tommy leaves the band because of personal issues he was having within his marriage. But Motley Crue comes back to play Charlotte on the new Tattoo. Nikki gets arrested for this charge from Greensboro, several years prior to. Then Tommy has to fly himself back to the Carolinas to get booked, and they only had to pay just a few $100s. It was ridiculous, but all in all, Generation Swine was a different tour. It was they didn't put a lot into their stage show. It was mostly just lights. No backdrop, nothing like we see today. It was just really stripped down, but still, Vince was back with the band. They had a new look. This was also the time they came out with their new drink called Motley Brew. It was a blue soda. I did not get a chance to try that, but from what I understand, it tasted like shit. So it was more or less a publicity stunt to promote the album. But in any event, I know a lot of collectors out there still have some of those Motley Brew bottles, and it's definitely a neat time. But Chris, what a great album! I mean, a lot of people didn't like it. I did. One of my favorite songs off that album was "Find Myself," and and of course Nikki talks about that song was kind of like his release from all those the childhood anger that he had for his dad. So "Find Myself" was there. That was a good song. Of course, "Generation Swine" was a good song, and you had mentioned earlier "Glitter" as their ballad. That was a pretty good song. And I know, of course, "Shout at the Devil," the remix, and I believe right now to this day, I know when I was in LA, that's how they played "Shout at the Devil." They didn't play it like the original way. They played the remix, and I believe that's the same thing that they're doing on the stadium tour, right, Chris?
Yeah, pretty much so. Absolutely, and it'll always be a staple on the set list, no matter what. But but Tony, that Glitter, I do like that Glitter. I actually do. When I saw them play that live, I was like, okay, they got something else besides "Home Sweet Home" here. You know, and it worked, you know, at that time. And that's really a song where you kind of hear Vince's vocals as well versus not so much the band, you know, so much. So, you know, to this day, but I do remember that early on, when I saw them, especially Carnival of Sins, I believe was when they played, that particular, hit. But, no, overall, you know, an interesting album, interesting time for just rock and roll bands in the 80s in 97 as well. I mean, it was just really an interesting time. And, you know, Motley Crue has stood the test of time. And here they are now in 2022. You know, Tony, you were in LA at the Forum, and you thought, okay, the lights come up, the stage is there, and there's confetti everywhere, and that's it. And now here you are 6 years later saying, I'm going to see him, you know, like the Nature Boy says, one more time. I'm walking the aisle.
Yeah,
so,
they're walking the aisle.
Hey, Tony, it wouldn't even surprise me if the Nature Boy's in the house Tuesday night. It would not surprise me if there's a couple of celebrities in the house Tuesday night for the Charlotte show, locally in the area. Well,
all I know, Chris, is I'm going to be on the floor. So any celebrities walk by, I'm going to get a selfie. I'm going to post it. I can't wait. And it's just a few more days away, and I'm pumped up. I'm ready.
Oh, I'm ready too. It's going to be here. I got to get my rest this weekend into Tuesday, and it's going to be great. And I'm looking forward to it. And for us to recap everything and just take it all in. Let's see what the band's got. And I really think, like we said, Tony, the last couple of weeks, I think for, you know, 3 of the 4 bands, I think we will see them out on tour in 2023, maybe 2024 at the latest, you know, and then, you know, where does Motley Crue, you know, ultimately go from here, you know, once this tour does conclude, you know, in September remains to be seen. But I think for these other 3 bands, you know, definitely there's going to be future tours in their sights.
Yeah, definitely so. And, man, I can't wait. And like I said, we're just a few days away. Tomorrow night, I'll be getting whiskey bent and hellbound, and going to have all my rowdy friends come over tomorrow night for the Bo Cephas, Hank Williams Jr. I know right now Hank has just released a new album, and I know he'll be playing a few songs off of that. You know, what a great time to be a music lover, a wrestling lover. It's all there. And like I was saying, Hank Williams Jr.'s new album called Rich White Honky Blues. That album was just released just a couple of days ago. So wherever you get your music, go check it out. It's more or less a blues album, and he's doing a lot of remakes of some really classic. He went in the vault on this one, Chris, and of course I know he'll be playing a lot of the classics like Whiskey Bent and Hellbound, Country State of Mind, All My Rowdy Friends, and tons and tons more. And I'm looking forward to that too. So, Chris, I'm gonna dust off the old Austin Hall cowboy boots and wear those to the show tomorrow night. Who knows? I might be selling pictures to people. Who knows? But any event, it's concert wrestling weekend, and I'm going to be busy. You're going to be busy, and we're just going to have the time of our life. And so next week, fans, when we do this podcast, we'll have tons of stories. And like I said, Chris and I, if you follow our Facebook page, Chris and I are planning to go live at some point, whether we're tailgating, whether we're in the venue, or whether we're at the after party. Yeah, make sure you follow our Facebook page, because you will see the real deal, Chris Plano and Tony Binge right there rocking and rolling in Charlotte.
Man, Tony, I cannot wait. And for the fans, you could just find me on Facebook fairly easily, just Chris Plano. And you can see I put my weekly music posts up every Thursday or Friday for that upcoming weekend. If you're just curious in general, take a peek, leave a comment, give me a like any way you like. And it's a lot of fun to do. But, Tony, I'm excited. Tuesday night, top to bottom, we're going to get our 80s music fix. I can definitely tell you that. And it'll be great to see these guys again. Some of the bands I haven't seen in 3, 4, or 5 years. and looking forward to it. And I know they're going to be ready. They do have Monday night off. They are playing Saturday and Sunday this weekend in Philadelphia and New York, respectively. They'll be off Monday, rested. They'll be in town Monday and ready to rock and roll Tuesday night in Charlotte, and then the tour just keeps on moving on, as they say, down the road.
Yes, sir. And I think the final night is going to be in Vegas, I believe. So they got really the tour is just getting started. They're playing all summer long. I think it finally ends up in September. So everybody in the United States is going to have a chance to see the stadium tour, and I'm sure they'll probably be taking it next year overseas. So I think everybody at some point is going to get a chance to see this stadium tour. But right now we're the lucky ones, and like I've said this a million times on the show tonight, I can't wait just a few more days, and we will be living out the dream, Chris.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've seen these bands many a times over the years, but all four together, never have I seen it before. We'll never probably see it again. And hey, kudos to these guys. Tony, I'd have to rack my brain. The last time an 80s band, a true 80s band, went on a stadium tour, it's been a good long while.
Yeah.
Since we've seen of this magnitude, where they're playing all stadiums. We're not going down to indoor venues or amphitheaters. We're playing a full stadium tour. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And this is good for all the 80s rocks bands, because there'll be a trickle down effect as well off of this for all the 80s bands that are still out there touring. And there's plenty of them. Some original, some not original, that will reap off of this for their own shows, no matter where those shows might be played.
Yeah. And Chris, the other cool thing, you got to think about this. Poison and Motley Crue is the original lineup, or the original lineup is playing. So that right there says a lot too.
You don't see it that much anymore. You really don't. You got to give it up for Poison. I know Poison hasn't come out with an album in a good long while. It might be about 20 years since the last time they came out with an album, but it's still the original four members of the band. Motley Crue, it's still the original four members of the band, though they have come out with an album in less years than Poison, obviously. And for Def Leppard, no, it is not the original band. And yeah, Joan Jett is up there. That's fine. But you got to take it in, because, Tony, you can't take this stuff for granted with these bands. I mean, they're the original band today. They're not the original band tomorrow. So you got to go in and take it all in and seize the moment, as they say, and see it if you can. And because these guys aren't going to be around forever.
No, not going to be around forever. So right now is your chance to get in there and see these bands play when they come to your town. Rain or shine, they're going to be out there putting on the show of a lifetime. And so make sure that you, if you can, check it out. And if you happen to be at the show in Charlotte and you see me and Chris, walk up and say, hey, man, we'd love to take a picture with you, put it on our Facebook page. Of course, every week Chris and I get together and try to break down these wrestling shows. Right now we're in the middle of the stadium tour, so each week we'll definitely be giving the fans updates on the shows that we see or hear. But like I said, man, Tuesday night Charlotte is going to be on fire for the stadium tour. Motley Crue, Poison, Def Leppard, and Joan Jett. It's going to be a show of the ages, and I cannot wait to be there.
Man, the stadium may never be the same again after Tuesday night. Well, that remains to be seen.
That's true. All right. Well, fans, we appreciate you checking out our show and listening in, and I can't wait for next week. Again, I'll have another major announcement concerning the Ric Flairs final match. That'll be coming up next week. But in the meantime, for Chris, I'm Tony. We will see you next week here on the Binge Buster Show.
Sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
Thank you for listening to The Binge Buster Show. Make sure you like us on Facebook and download us on your favorite podcast platform.